Hey everyone, my name's Ati, and on my channel, I travel Japan, enjoy my hobbies, and work at improving my art. If you're interested, please consider liking and subscribing, and also follow me on social media where you can see more of my daily updates. Okay, let's do this. So you're interested in traveling, living, and maybe even working in Japan. In this video, we're going to discuss multiple ways for you to do just that. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started. Number one on the list is embassies. Embassies often have budgets allocated for study abroad programs, funded travel, work opportunities, visas, etc. And a lot of these budgets that are allocated for these things aren't fully used because some people just don't know about these opportunities. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out to your nearest embassy and find out exactly what opportunities they have in store for you. You can reach out via email, you can try going to a cultural seminar, or even just attending one of their events and inquiring about it. So the embassy that I used was the Japan embassy in my home country. I reached out to them and I found out about the Teach English in Japan program known as the JET program. I've currently been on the JET program for about 4 years, and it's one that I can highly recommend. A lot of foreigners that I've met that live here often moved here teaching English initially with programs like the JET program. They learn the culture, they learn the language, the people, and then it's a lot easier to transition into another full-time job that matches their speciality or interests a little bit better. So the JET program is really easy to apply for. All it needs is a bachelor's degree in any field and interest in Japanese culture. And of course, your native home country or the country that you have, documentation for should have an embassy of Japan there, because if it does, it means they have this program and they can bring you in as a teacher. Now, of course, the JET program isn't the only way to come in here to teach English. There are multiple dispatch companies and private companies that offer the exact same service. But I have heard, and I personally know people who've had both great experience with these companies as well as horrible experiences. And I know you want to hear about this, so I'm just going to go straight into it. A lot of these dispatch companies don't actually provide assistance when you arrive in Japan. So you touch down here, you're expected to have a bank account, to have a place to stay, to get a SIM card or a cell phone number in order to do these two and more. But the dispatch companies don't tell you nor prepare you in any way. They just say, make sure you're at work by Monday. So add to the fact that you're also getting paid kind of a low salary as an ALT dispatch company worker, and you're expected to know the public transport system and to be able to work and arrive on time at multiple schools or multiple locations. You're also driving, maybe you got to be driving your own car, and everything in Japan is basically in Japanese. They use English in society very little. So a lot of people end up feeling very displaced, very much abandoned, and very much exploited by these ALT dispatch companies. But like I said, I have heard people who've had great experiences and they've been on these ALT dispatch companies for years at a time and feel extremely grateful for the opportunity. Of course, we live in the age of technology. You can use Discord, Reddit, Facebook groups, LinkedIn. You can reach out and talk to people directly who have worked for these companies, who work in these companies, and find out what their experience is like. So don't be afraid to do your due diligence before you hop right into this. Often these companies require a TEFL certificate or teaching experience or some kind of mixture of certification and experience that show that you really are up to par for the thing. The JET program, however, works directly with the Japanese government, so it has very good salary range, very good benefits, and you don't really need a lot of upfront cash for it. What I mean by this is they pay for your flight ticket to come here. In some cases, they even get you a furnished apartment for you to move into, and they help you settle in. When you arrive, they help you open a bank account, they help you open your SIM card and get your data up. So yeah, it's a really great opportunity to use. On the JET program, you're usually working as an ALT, similar to these dispatch companies. An ALT, for the most part, is an assistant language teacher. You work with a native Japanese English teacher that's here already, and you assist them with their day-to-day tasks. For the most part, in my case, I'm actually just a game master. I'm making fun activities for students to learn and interact with English through games and worksheets and interactive opportunities like this. So it really isn't that hard to do. There are a few cases where I'm like marking papers or I'm helping with English speech, which is something that happens like once a year, as well as a few Eikaiwa classes that happen around here. Eikaiwa is English conversation classes, usually held in the evening with adult students, not the usual students that I work with. As a native English speaker, it's actually really easy. You're not you're not going to be stressed out too much for it. At least I hope not. The biggest complaint I've honestly heard is people just desk warming and not having enough stuff to do at work. Note that you don't need any teaching experience for the JET program, but it does help, of course, it does help. I came in with no teaching experience, but I did have mentoring experience, one-on-one consultation experience, and small gigs like these. Actually, I think that really helped me a lot. But yeah, there's multiple ALTs and JET ALTs that I've spoken to that came in with no teaching experience at all. So don't let it stop you. What if you're not interested in teaching in Japan? While there are opportunities here for foreigners to work in tech, recruitment, creative industries, finance, and sales, these ones, you will be able to find jobs that have little to no Japanese requirement, but still have a demanding salary and great job opportunities as well. But honestly, if you're a coder or if you're working in tech, I think that's where you can really eat. That's where you really set up good. I've noticed that for some job postings for software and tech, they have literally no English requirement, and you'll just be looking at multiple pages of software and DevOps jobs that have no English requirement. When looking around online for job opportunities, the usual suspects will be perfectly fine. LinkedIn and other similar job searching platforms like that. But a step above those would be the Japanese job searching platforms. Ones that I can recommend are gaijinpot.com, daijob.com, and OpenWork. Gaijinpot is specifically made for foreigners looking for work opportunities and other Japan-related resources online. Daijob is a bilingual job searching platform that allows you to look for jobs in both English and Japanese, and even create your resume and upload your details in both English and Japanese. And the last one, OpenWork, is really cool. It's basically Glassdoor, but for Japan. It lets people that work at these companies post reviews and post their experience about how they're working. And you, as a job searcher, can not only look for jobs, but also see the reviews that these companies have and get an idea of what the environment is like before you step into that company culture. It won't be long before a recruiter messages you, and the recruiters work for free. They message you, and they usually set up a face-to-face meeting or a Zoom meeting, most likely a Zoom meeting. And in this instance, they'll find out what your qualifications are, what kind of job you're looking for, and then they will look for jobs on your behalf. They take commission once you get and you land a paying job, so they're incentivized to work you, and you don't have to pay them a cent from the beginning. They find you, they help you. You just have to be willing to send them your details, your CV, and to upskill yourself and do what's necessary in order to really capitalize on these opportunities. If you're looking at attending some physical events while you're here, both Gaijinpot and Daijob have a career seminar that you can attend. Not just a career seminar, but like a career day. So booths are installed, different companies come in, and you can talk to them, get more information, and even organize yourself an interview if you're lucky. One popular one is known as the Career Forum, and it's basically hosted in Boston, Los Angeles, a few locations around the world, as well as locally in Japan. It happens in winter and in summer, and it's usually Japanese companies, not just anyone's, like really high-rising companies that are looking for bilinguals who can come and work in Japan. So when they say bilinguals, they mean conversational Japanese is sometimes okay, but usually business level Japanese is what's going to really get you in the door. For viewers that are listening from Africa, Jetro Global Careers has an online forum that allows companies, up to 90 plus companies that attend, and allows them to look for Japanese learners and find prospective employees based in Africa to come and work in Japan. Another option is Africa Business Education by JICA, JICA. And what they're looking for is Japanese learners that are interested in studying overseas, specifically studying in Japan. And they even offer internships and funded study for masters and above. Those of you that are based in Europe or maybe America, there is the J-Rise initiative, which is for researchers and innovators that are looking for more opportunities to not only work, but also get grants, funding, and etc. Japan America Society is it has a coalition that basically works in the automobile industry, and it promotes trade across America and Japan for the automobile industry. They have a live global careers fair that happens, and you can check that out and see if it's something that you're interested in. Next is a specified skilled visa, specified skilled worker visa. And these ones are for people working in blue collar jobs like manufacturing, hospitality, agriculture, etc. And these ones often, Japan usually sources a lot of these workers from local Asian countries, Thailand, Vietnam, India, etc. And often they have matching events where people will go to these almost like career fairs, but a little bit more informal. And they're basically matching events that help people find work for these type of opportunities. And oftentimes you won't be finding these jobs online yourself. You'll actually be working with a contractual organization that is in cahoots with Japanese companies. And it lets Japanese companies vet and kind of streamline the whole hiring process for them instead of them having to inquire and get applicants one by one. And on your side, it means you talk to the contractual organization. You usually have to pass a certain skill test to prove that you're qualified, and you have to pass at least an N4 exam. N4 is very conversational level Japanese, so it's not that difficult, but you will need to study for it and get some preparation in. I mentioned contractual organization before. I actually meant to say approved sending organization. They're the ones that will have job opportunities that are filtered, and you can look around and see what opportunities they have therein. And once approved, the Registered Support Organization, RSO, will then handle the Japanese paperwork and look after you and take care of moving in. They'll look after you for your duration of staying in Japan. Now, I said this before, but a lot of these SSW opportunities are limited to Asian countries around Japan. And if that is well within your boat, then you can look at companies like ABBA, ABBA Personal Services, based in Philippines, Dolab, which is in Vietnam, LPK Indonesia, or SLBFE, which is a Sri Lankan service, a Sri Lankan foreign affairs service that has these type of opportunities. What if you're a viewer from a country that doesn't have a sending organization or isn't based in Asia? Well, it's going to be a bit harder to capitalize on the SSW visa because you don't have the local infrastructure that supports it. Harder, but not impossible. In these instances, you can apply directly to the RSO, the Registered Support Organization. They're the one I mentioned before that handles the Japanese paperwork as well as move in and looking after you and etc. You can apply directly to them through that website I mentioned before, ssw.go.jp, or you can look at other RSOs and look at their websites directly. For example, Senroku Agent or GTN Consulting. This is literally one of the best parts of my day. So I'm at the local park. I'm just here for a quick workout. And I'm using a selfie camera this time. Hopefully the quality is not too bad. I think we should be good. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was students and volunteers. A lot of the foreigners that I see around my local area, which is like rural Japan, are usually foreigners that have come in as volunteers. And the most prolific platform that they usually use is Workaway. I've actually got a friend of mine who works as a beekeeper here in Japan, and he's constantly got foreigners and helpers coming in from overseas that come in through Workaway to assist them. And how Workaway usually works is it lets you as a workawayer get free accommodation and find a place to stay in Japan, and sometimes even food. They provide you meals where you're staying, and in return you work for free. You work unpaid. You do small jobs, menial labor, teach the kids English, help at the bee farm, help renovate my IKEA or abandoned house, or etc. So small gigs like this. And often the experience is really worthwhile. A lot of the workaways that I talk to have a great experience while they're here. They've obviously saved up their own cash to be able to fly here and be able to have some fun while they're here. But at the same time, they're not burning through expenses on hotel fees and expensive food all the time. So it really works out quite nicely. It's getting hot. I had to take off that top. So if you're a workawayer, or if you're interested in using Workaway, check it out. It's a website. You just Google Workaway, and the first result will be the one I'm talking about. The second and the other results will be very similar platforms that you can also explore. But how Workaway works is it wants you to pay in order to access the messaging feature. But you can browse and see what opportunities are available for free. But if you find a place you're interested in getting in contact with, you're going to have to pay a yearly subscription or a once-off yearly fee. I tried it and it wasn't too bad, but I never really found something that I was really keen on. And when I did find it, I was like, yeah, I'm really keen on doing this. But like the dates couldn't coincide with the person I was talking to. So I never ended up using it. But hopefully it's an opportunity that you can grasp. Next is students. So for students, the best opportunity I can recommend that is fully funded and allows you to travel and live in Japan is the MEXT bursary or the MEXT scholarship. It's in partnership with the Ministry of Education in Japan, the government, and like different universities all around Japan. And how it works is you apply through your embassy back at home, and if you're successful, they'll let you come into Japan and they'll cover all the fees that are associated with it. You can study anything from undergraduate studies onwards to postgraduate studies. The MEXT scholarship is highly sought after, so don't be bummed out if you don't get it. Try again. I tried to apply for it, I failed. I managed to apply again a second year, but the second time I applied for the JET program, which is the one I'm currently on, teaching English, and that's when I got accepted. So don't get bummed out if you fail. Definitely keep trying. These opportunities are always there, and there's different ways to go about it. The next one on the list is the Honjo International Scholarship. This one's mainly for postgraduates, but it's very similar to MEXT. You apply for it and it allows you to study at any university in Japan. When you're looking at these scholarships and bursaries, I really recommend that you look into the T's and C's carefully, because some of them don't cover certain fees, and these fees can get hefty. For example, the registration fee, which is about 100,000 yen, or I don't know, $1,000 or so. In most cases, they don't cover this, so you will have to have some kind of funds ready in order to pay up the difference or what's lacking. But what's nice about these scholarships, like the MEXT scholarship, the Honjo International Scholarship, is they give you a monthly stipend, they pay for your tuition, and they provide a monthly stipend. And this one can be quite like generous. Like I'm talking like borderline salary level. It allows you to look for a place to stay, pay for rent, have some cash left over for utilities, have some cash leftovers to have some fun on the weekend. Like, it's a really good salary. Not really a salary, a stipend. Okay, next is the J-Find visa. It's actually a new visa category that's been implemented in Japan, and what it allows for is for students that have just graduated to basically look for work in Japan or to research a business in Japan. It's a visa that's up to, I think, 2 years. It can be renewed 1 year, maybe up to 2 years, and it's mainly for people that graduated from universities in Japan, but also select Ivy League top quality universities from around the world. You graduate, you apply for this visa, you come into Japan, and you're basically allowed to stay here and do your research / look for a job while you're still not necessarily employed, but you're legally allowed to be in the country. The J-Find visa is definitely not easy to get. There is another visa category that might interest you if you're a student, and it's called the Designated Activities Visa. It's best to apply for this while you're still a student, you haven't graduated just yet, and you prove to them that you are looking to live in Japan afterwards, you're looking for jobs currently, you have letters of recommendations from your university, as well as proof that you have been job hunting. And then you apply for the visa, and it lets you stay in Japan for 6 months to about a year and continue your job hunt without having to worry about the visa situation. The last visa category I want to mention for students or the like is one that's a little bit controversial, because you can't necessarily be financially dependent in a sense. It doesn't allow you to earn an income, which is really a bummer if you ask me, but it can still work out. And this visa category is called the Cultural Studies Visa. It allows you to basically work at a monastery in the mountains. It allows you to learn tea ceremony or to work at a kendo or judo academy. And when I say work, I mean you're basically a free volunteer worker who's there to study the culture and learn and assist. And they provide you accommodation and a place to stay, but you're not allowed to work a job. You're not necessarily allowed to have an income. So this is best if you actually have income from back at home, or you have some kind of financial reservoir that allows you and supports you while you're here in Japan, and you can continue to explore and travel. Okay, so now we're on to the last part of this video. And this is catered to those of you that are business-minded, that are entrepreneurial, that want to make your own company here in Japan. And what this is the Business Manager Visa. So this visa doesn't have a lot of requirements. You basically need at least 5 million yen in order to register your company. You need at least 1 or 2 Japanese staff, maybe 1, maybe 2, I can't remember. And the last one is premises, or physical location where you'll be operating your business here in Japan. Once you've got those under wraps, you qualify for the business manager visa. One other requirement that I did see was experience running a business or a relevant qualification within the business type that you have. So that was also another requirement that can help, but it's not necessarily a must, but it could help boost your application or your success or your chances of getting the business manager visa. So one route that I've seen is really popular with foreigners here is they'll get a business manager visa specifically for something related to their home country. For example, opening a restaurant, because I mean, you're in the middle of Japan, one of the most homogeneous societies in the world. Who knows your home country's cuisine better than you do, right? So yeah, that's one option that I've seen a lot of people using. But unfortunately, because of the new management, because of the change in politics, because of the change in policies that have been happening, the business manager visa has gone up from 5 million yen to 35 million yen minimum requirement, which is ridiculous. It's a huge jump compared to the previous requirements. So a lot of people are actually struggling to qualify for the business manager visa as a result, because it's not only 35 million yen, right? They've actually made it a lot stricter, they've made it a lot tighter, they made it a lot harder for people to apply for this thing, even if you meet these qualifications. But there is an option that a lot of people are sleeping on, which is the business startup visa. You don't need 5 million yen, you don't need 35 million yen, and you can still get yourself running and operating a company in Japan. So how the startup visa works is you take your business plan and you pitch it to a certain regional prefecture in Japan that specializes in that industry. For example, if you are doing technology, you're going to pitch to Tokyo or Yokohama. If you're doing manufacturing or agriculture, you're going to be pitching to a completely different region, a completely different prefecture in Japan. So you need to find which prefecture specializes in your industry. And once there's a match over there, then you can apply. One other thing you need to keep in mind is that they want proof of funds. They want to see that you can look after yourself for the duration of that visa. Usually it's a 1-year startup visa, but it can be renewed, and you can look after your company. So you need proof of funds in the form of your own personal expenses for a year, as well as keeping your company afloat for a year. Once you get in, they plug you into the incubation program. And this means that you get linked up with VCs, with funding, with potential customers, you help the government, they give you contracts, and they help to try to sustain and build your company. So it really is a slept on opportunity that a lot of people don't know about, but it's still there. It's definitely still there. So for those of you that have stuck out until the end of the video, I have a special surprise. There is actually one more method that foreigners have been using to travel and live in Japan, and it's actually been getting a lot of momentum in recent years. So I'm sure you know, Japan's been going through a population crisis. The population is getting smaller at a drastic rate. And what this means is entire communities and entire villages, maybe not villages, but rurals and countryside regions are dying out entirely. It's really sad. It's really sad. Like, I live here in Tokushima, and this place is quite rural. There's parts of Tokushima here that used to have bus lines, that used to have train lines, hospitals, schools, etc. And all of these services have slowly been shut down because the community, there's just not enough people to justify having these kind of services anymore. So there's places that are just turning into ghost towns here. And where you come in is working at certain places that are known as revitalization sectors. You're brought in to help revitalize these regions. You work with tourism, you work with City Hall, you work with the municipality, the schools, different goods and service vendors, and you help promote the region. You help bring in people that want to explore, that want to potentially move, live, and work in these parts of Japan. Everyone knows the popular ones, Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, the big cities. But the rurals, the smaller villages in the outskirts, these actually outnumber the big city like 10 to 1, man. There's so much more rural countryside in Japan than there is the popular regions that you know of. And these are the ones that are a lot more keen to hire and bring in help, regardless of where you're from. So if you're keen on this, I want you to look up revitalization programs. If you can, pair it with a certain prefecture that you're interested in. For example, revitalization, Tokushima, revitalization, etc. But another thing is, if you search for these type of things in Japanese, not in English, you translate what I'm saying to Japanese, and then you Google that and you translate the pages again so that you can read the results, you'll actually get a lot more results. And what you find is that a lot of these places, the applications aren't too intense. There was actually one for my region just not too long ago, about a year ago max, where they were looking for foreigners specifically to help with revitalization. The requirements are usually about N4 Japanese, which isn't too difficult at all, as well as sometimes you need to be living here already so that they don't need to worry about the visa support. What that means for you, as I know most of my viewers are listening from outside of Japan, what it means for you is you want to look for revitalization programs that stipulate visa support. Don't go through the application process if they already don't. And a lot of these programs are kind of underground. What you might find is reaching out and emailing the city halls around these regions and just inquiring could help unlock a lot more information than you would on Google. Of course, if you do reach out to these public sectors like City Hall, make sure that you're talking and you're sending your email, preferably in Japanese, but also Japanese and English is fine. I do that a lot with my communications. I'll put Japanese first and then the next paragraph is English, translating that exact same Japanese. So yeah, look into these. These are an option that people have been sleeping on, and I think a lot of people just don't know about it, to be honest.